Yes. All right, let's talk about the shallow cross. Now, the shallow cross, I always called it the high-low cross. I don't know why we call it the shallow cross, because there's two crossers. You got the H crossing. Now, I do it a little bit different. I'll just show you the way I do things. My H, instead of going through the heels of the D line, I tell him to come off and come right off that D end as he's pass rushing and get in between, get a little bit, go behind them, get a little depth. And it works for us. I don't understand why it does, but it does. But the shallow, and the coaching point here is, I saw they were always late. They were slow getting out. And then so one day I'm watching them, and what they're doing, they're trying to look at the quarterback. By the way, this is, regular pass. This is a 3-step out of gun, be 5 to 7 step, I guess, out of under center. They're looking at the quarterback as if they're going to get the pass thrown to them in here. Okay? Now, if it's zone and it's wide open, we tell him he can sit down right there. But I tell him, I said, just keep going. But don't look at the quarterback. And real loud, I looked at the quarterback. And I said, do not throw the H a ball until he clears the box. Then I looked over at the H's. I said, did you hear that? They said, yes, sir. I said, so don't look at the quarterback, because he's not going to throw it to you until you clear the box. So then what was happening is they were going slow because they're trying to look at the quarterback and dodge bodies in here and worried about getting their head knocked off by a linebacker, okay, that's seeing them come across. Remember high school football, man, you can collision that joker as long as that ball's not in the air. Okay, we talked about that in the last episode about how rules are different. Yeah, you can blow a joker up in high school as long as you don't grab them and the ball hadn't been thrown. That's legal. And so they're looking. I said, don't look. Don't look back. Just look at what's in front of you. You see any mess, dodge it. You see a linebacker trying to collision you, dodge him, come out the other end like a tunnel, a chute, if you will. You come out, and then you can get the football. And the jokers are going to be open. Now, I was talking to a good friend of mine, Bill Smith, and I've been friends since 1993. And I said, how do you teach it? What's your progression? And he said he always puts the tailback to where the cross starts, to mean where the shallow starts. And I went, oh, okay. And I asked him why, and he had a good reason for doing it. But now me, what I like doing, because it looks like our buck formation, it looks like our jet formation. If I slide him right here and put the H in the sniffer, it could be our power or counter formation. I like it right here for that reason. Also, I like the idea, I lost my cursor again, there it is. I like the idea of the tailback hitting that swing right there. Some folks call it a flare. Swinging right there and getting that dog's attention and bringing that dog out of here, widening him. And then look here. If everybody on defense does what they're coached to do, look what you get. He's going to drop hook to curl. He'll drop hook to curl. He's got the flat. He's got flat. Or he's probably going to collision Z. But then he sees the swing. He's going to go with it. Okay? Well, look at the opening right here. So the shallow's open. All right. Then you got the Z. Our Z, as we call him, running the dig. And we always say it's 10 to 12. And we always tell them, don't run to be covered. So if that Will drops right here, and that Mike drops right here, where's the opening? Yes, where I've got this arrow right here. Okay? Don't keep going and run to coverage. And that always worked for our kids over in Lynette, because all of our skilled kids were basketball players. And I always just equated it to a zone offense. I said, if the guy's playing defense on the low post, are you going to run down to the low post and stand beside him? And just stand there? No. I said, you're going to go where you're open. You're going to find the open spot because you want the ball. Same thing versus a zone in football. You want to get in an open spot. All right, and then back over here, we do a skinny post, and we just call it a skinny. And what a skinny is, and some of y'all may remember us talking about this before, is he doesn't cross the goalpost. He's going to break for the near upright at an angle, and he'll never cross the middle of the field. Okay. And that gets him a chance to get open, somewhere on the hash mark if the ball was in the middle of the field. and he'll get open behind the safety and run away from the corner if the safety bites on the dig. Over here, by the way, is the very first thing. Some coaches call it a peek, gift, and access, whatever. This cat is running a takeoff, okay? A takeoff, in our terminology, means a deep ball, okay? But by calling it a takeoff, it means he's got the option. If that corner is playing off and bailing, he can curl up about 10 to 12. And eventually, when the kids get it down pat, we just tell them, once he flips his hips and turns and runs with you, and he just bound and determined you're not going to beat him deep, just stop and look inside. And that grew out of our attempt at trying to throw back shoulder fades and all that. And it can be done, the back shoulder fade, but it was so time expensive for a team with kids that go both ways. Now, what about progressions? All right, some coaches are going to teach you to read this guy right here, the dog. If the dog stretches here, you know this guy's going to be open. And you can have different progressions and run the same concept. You can call it one thing or the other. You can say, read short. And so he'll read the dog right here. And if that dog jumps here or widens, you know that shallow is going to be open. Okay? And if the wheel, for some reason, carries the shallow when you come off and look at it, then you know right in here is going to be open, because your Z on the dig is going to sit where that Z would have been, because Mike can't cover that middle by himself. And so that's your short progression. And then you got a deep or medium progression that some coaches use. And this goes back to the old days of football, because, by the way, the shallow cross is not new. I formation teams, Florida State ran it back in the late 70s, I know. And I know Troy State ran it back in the late 80s. And they even called it NCAA because everybody in NCAA ran it. I only know that because I went to clinics and camps there. All right. The deep read is this. If the free runs deep with the post, here's your free. If he runs deep with the post, then you throw the dig. Okay. If you can see the free, if you can see his front numbers, hose the post. That's your deep read. Your deep or your medium read. If you can see his front numbers, hose the post. Okay? And that's your deep read. Of course, you got your original pre-snap right here. You got a shallow read right here, short read right here. And so I just don't think you can do all of them. Now that's pre-snap, and you may want to tell him, like, if it's 3rd and 5, and you know this cat over here is going to be bailing, you just go ahead and have a signal for him. Say, hey, throw it to the corner, throw it to the Y. And you can flip it, of course, and run it the other way, and you can switch it and have the Z run the shallow and the H run the dig. I just like my Z running it because I like getting him that ball a little bit deeper. But the Z so fast, if you can get him that ball as he comes out of the tunnel right here, if you will, as he comes out of the middle, he catches. That's the Z, and you got a Z that can scat. He's going to catch that joker right here. Because remember, if he throws it, that means that dog has gone here or widened, catch that joker and turn up. Ain't nobody there tackling but the corner and the free. If you got an athlete, you may check out on a little 5-yard pass.